Hi, everybody. My name is Veronica Valley, and I help people to stop drinking so they can live a full life, not a life full of booze. And I mentor people in my free Facebook group called Soberful. So I have over 17 years of sobriety, and my background is as an addiction therapist and recovery coach. So I am going to speak to you today about that feeling of missing out when you want to stop drinking. And I hear this a lot with people who want to join my group and people who contact me. It's like they know that they have kind of a drink problem, or it's just not serving them. It just doesn't feel right to them anymore. But they just feel like they're going to be missing out if they stop. And how are they going to have fun? And that's a really common concern and worry. And it was for me. I was 27 when I got sober. And I completely thought I was never going to have fun again. I mean, I didn't think I'd ever go dancing or get dressed up, or I just thought my life was going to be really boring. But I was prepared to accept that because I was in so much pain and I wanted the pain to stop. And I knew the pain was linked to the alcohol. So I was kind of like, okay, fine, whatever, I'll do. I'd like to tell you that wasn't the case. It was just a belief system that I had. So before I go into that, I just want to tell you about my free Soberful workbook that has a bunch of information about my program and the 5 pillars of sustainable sobriety. If you're interested, and you can download that, that's in the link. And also if you want to join the group and meet other people who are thinking about not drinking, who have stopped drinking, want to get some support, have some fun, connect, all that kind of stuff, you can join the Facebook group as well. So this is part of a much bigger picture. And this is really about marketing and how we have been lied to. So marketing has very effectively linked alcohol to not only having fun, but a whole bunch of other feelings as well. And that is what advertising does. It sells you feelings so that you think, I'll buy that product because I will feel that way. And alcohol does that really, really successfully. Think about every single advert for alcohol that you've seen, and there's a lot of them. They all picture people having fun, dancing, young, attractive, sexy. So they're selling you that you're going to have fun, that you are going to have connection. And that's really important because human beings need connection. So alcohol sells you that very strongly, that you are going to have connection. Perhaps even love, and quite possibly sex. Who doesn't want those things? And think about the way that alcohol companies link alcohol to every possible scenario. So every scenario we think, oh, we'll have a drink because that's appropriate because we've been sold that. The big one that I always think is kind of a little amusing is sports. There is no relationship with alcohol consumption and sports. If you are a sports person, those two things do not go together. But alcohol has linked that with spectators, so that getting really drunk while watching your sporting event is now a thing that is just completely accepted. But that's something that was just done by marketing companies that just kind of convinced us. So it's really important to have that awareness. What we have also done is normalized abnormal drinking, and we've done that by the fact that it's everywhere. And I want to talk about how this was done really successfully in England when I was drinking back in the 90s. So I particularly remember in the 90s, it was kind of, if you remember, it's like the whole Britpop thing, Blur, Oasis. And I, at the time, used to listen to Radio 1. It's like one of the most popular music channels in the UK, the kind of ladies' music, all that kind of stuff. And there was 2 particular DJs on there, 2 female DJs who were blonde and were always out just looking like they had a great time. They're always in the papers, drinking, partying with pop stars. And they would be on their radio shows quite often in the morning talking about how completely hungover they were, that they'd had 2 hours sleep and it was just a raging night. And it was just so much fun. And I would listen to that and think, that sounds great. I would like to do that. So my experience was completely different. There was no celebrities, and I never got in the papers, thank God. But I really believed when I drank the way that they did, that I would have the same experience because they were making it look like fun. Now, I think, and what this whole video is about, is if you look at things a little more closely and ask yourself some questions, you'll see that that's not always the case. So I mean, look around at you, at the people who are celebrities right now, who are always out and in the papers and drinking and partying. Do they look like they're having fun? Some of them, not all of them. How do we know this? By their behavior. I don't want to name any, but there's several that spring to mind who always seem to have chronic issues with their relationships or careers, or just don't seem to be that happy, but they're always out partying because they still have that belief system that they are going to have fun and they're going to have connection and they are going to build relationships, and they can't get out of that cycle. Behavior never lies. Behavior always tells us what's going on with somebody. So it's not what they say, it's actually what they do. And you can do that in your own circle right now. All the people you perhaps drink with or have drunk with, that you've partied with, and you're looking at them right now thinking, they're all going out tonight, it's Friday night, and they're all going to go to this party or do this thing, and they're just going to have so much fun. So deconstruct that. Is that really true? Those people that you know, some of them you know really well, are they happy? Are they fulfilled? What about the consequences and the price of what they are doing? And here's, I just really want to say this. Some people do have an awareness of when they drink and how much they drink, that there is a price to that. And I'm not just talking about money, I'm talking about being hungover the whole of the next day, loss of productivity, loss of opportunity, upsetting someone in their family, and also, you know, all of the consequences that may happen. Maybe they get into an argument, maybe they lose their wallet, all of this kind of stuff. And people are like, that's all right with me. I don't mind any of that because I want to have a drink. Crack on, go ahead. If that's okay with you, go for it. But if you are not okay with the price and consequences, then you need to reevaluate what your perception of fun really is. Now, here's the thing that really gets me is alcohol has claimed that word fun. So that if you're against alcohol or binge drinking, and I'm not against it, I'm against the misrepresentation of it, then you are not fun. And who wants to be not fun? Oh my God, that just sounds really awful, like, you know, somber and boring. And nobody wants to be any of those things. So we don't challenge this notion of whether we were actually having fun. And here's the truth, but from my experience, when I was first drinking, and I started drinking at about 14, 15, like going out to bars, I really did have fun, I think. And there were consequences for me immediately. At 15 years old, I would go into blackout. And I remember once being thrown out of a bar and waking up in the gutter covered in vomit. And the next day telling my friends what a great night I had, because it was an adventure. And I always used to have really bad hangovers that lasted for days. And I certainly missed opportunities and never fulfilled my potential when I was younger. But I was so enamored with what I thought alcohol could bring me that I couldn't consider not having alcohol in my life. And really, that's all I'm asking you to do is, what is the price and the consequences of your drinking? And was it really fun? Because at the end of my drinking, it was fun, maybe like 1 in 50 times. I mean, that's really not worth the price and the consequences. And the thing that I really, really destroyed me was the lack of authenticity it brought to my life. So I would be out in a bar or at a party and talking crap with people, and the connections that I had were not authentic or meaningful or real. And I wanted those, and I just had this very false version of that. And that caused me to have quite a lot of distress, emotional distress, because all human beings need connection. We need meaningful connection in our lives. And alcohol has convinced us that that is the way to get meaningful connection. So it's really just something to have a think about. Did alcohol deliver on its promises to you? Because that's what alcohol does. It makes us a promise. If you drink me, it's a bit like Alice in Wonderland, we will go on this adventure and you will have all of these things. And what you need to do if you're at this point watching this video thinking, oh, I don't know, I want to stop drinking, but how will I ever have fun again? Is ask yourself, did alcohol deliver on its promises to you? Is everyone around you having fun? Or are their price and consequences really, really high and they're just ignoring it? Because that's what we do, we just ignore it. This is really about getting really honest with ourselves. I want to finish up by saying, don't judge your insides by other people's outsides, because that's what we do. We look at people on the outside and how, you know, what they're saying and maybe how they're behaving when we see them. And we think, oh, they're fine, they're having such a great time. But we don't know how they're feeling on the inside. In fact, you know, the person who's like the mad partier, who's always out, who's always telling you what a great time they have, and you kind of think they're having a great time because they're always out. Do you really know what's going on inside of them? Do you really know how they're feeling? So don't judge your insides by measuring them up to how other people behave on the outside. Because sometimes we have to go against the flow just a little bit to become who we're really meant to be. And we have to ask ourselves and answer these difficult questions. So before I end, I've been sober for 17 and a half years. If this wasn't fun, if I didn't have fun, trust me, I would have been drunk 16 and a half years ago. If I didn't have the meaningful connection, the authenticity, the love, the sex, and all of that stuff that alcohol promised to me in my life, in sobriety, I would not be sober, sitting here talking to you right now. So all of those things are possible, and I want you to know that if you're thinking about stopping drinking. Thanks for listening.